6 months ago, I discovered that my husband had found a mistress in her 20s. Upon investigating, I found out this girl was no simple character. Not only had we met before, but she was also my friend on Twitter. The day before, we had celebrated our son's birthday together. I still remember when he pulled out the gift, our son's face filled with excitement, and my husband, with a loving smile, gently advised him, "You're a year older now. You need to be a responsible man." I had even posted about it on my social media, feeling proud of having a family, a business, and a life that I thought was complete. But the very next moment, he was off to a hot spring resort with a 20-year-old girl under the guise of meeting a client. This year marks the 10th anniversary of my marriage. In the second year of our marriage, we had our child, and we even opened our own children's dance academy. We were flourishing both in business and family life. I used to feel so proud. Who said that a woman's career gets derailed after having a child? Look at me, everything was going great. After overcoming the first few tough years, our annual income reached several million. My family life seemed perfect until that night, my son eagerly unwrapped his gift, while father and son started playing with it, exploring its features. One feature seemed particularly puzzling, and they were trying to figure it out together. A true man remains a boy at heart, I thought. In a moment of foolish curiosity, I grabbed my husband's phone, intending to look up the product details to help with the usage. But what I found was, a Twitter notification popped up. New lingerie arrived. You have to be gentle tomorrow. I froze. Another message popped up. You can't tear it up like last time. I opened Twitter, and before I even clicked on the chat, another notification appeared. Image. I blanked out. But curiosity always gets the best of us, right? I clicked on the message, waited for it to load. A young girl appeared in a white revealing one-piece swimsuit taking a mirror selfie. Her arms were raised to cover her face, but the position of her arms accentuated her chest, creating a clear outline of her figure. Her slim waist and flat stomach screamed, "Look at me, I'm young and flawless." I quickly closed the chat, swiped to mark it as unread, and put the phone back where it belonged. Time, as it always does, had taught me to remain calm in moments like this. I walked to the bathroom on the second floor, sank into a warm bath, and put on a face mask, needing some space to think. It's a funny coincidence, but the mask I was using was called ex-boyfriend mask, as if it were telling me something. Should I get a divorce? Evans, my 40-year-old, bald, greasy husband who looks like he could be mistaken for someone who's been pampered by a rich woman. If it weren't for the foundation we built together, how would he be able to attract such a young girl? Should I divorce him? If I do, I'm giving away everything I've built. Should I stay? Am I the only one disgusted by this? Letting Evans use half of our joint assets to spoil some young girl? In the end, it feels like I'm the one losing. After finishing my bath and taking care of my skin, Evans was already fast asleep. He was lying on the other side of the bed, facing away from me, and his phone wasn't on the nightstand. I suspected it was hidden under his pillow. He was snoring loudly, completely at ease. Before tonight, I would have thought he was just exhausted from work, but now, I couldn't help but feel like 1,000 ducks were quacking in my ears. I was overwhelmed with disgust. I curled up on the sofa beside the bed and opened Twitter, scrolling through my contacts to find someone. A person I had added a few months ago. Her Twitter handle was, "Mia is a bunny." Yes, she was the girl in the white swimsuit. I knew her. I opened our chat history and recalled when I had added her. It wasn't important enough for me to even bother updating her name in my contacts. Her message read, "Hello, Mr. He. I'm Mia, the one who just interviewed for the dance assistant position." I replied, "Hello?" That was our first and only conversation. 4 months ago, she came in for an interview. She was pretty danced well and had strong business skills. But she didn't pass the interview. Before the interview, I had run into her in a mall bathroom. She was clearly in a hurry and muttered under her breath when a mother and child came out of a stall. Why bring a kid out? Just trouble for everyone. Always whining. I kept quiet, but in my head, I couldn't help but think that she deserved a good shove into the pit. I rarely scroll through my friends' moments, so I hadn't paid attention to what Mia posted. 8 years ago, around this time, I was in labor, suffering beyond belief. 8 years later, my son was already sound asleep in his room, hugging his new gift with excitement. And here I was, in the deafening sound of my husband snoring, scrolling through the Twitter feed of a girl who was about to be torn apart by my husband. How strange. Mia made no attempt to hide her budding relationship, posting everything about it for the world to see, except for revealing who the person was. From her feed, I learned that 3 months ago, they had started their relationship. They went to have steak dry, aged steak, the one type one know how to eat. 90 days of air, drying, sacrificing 40% of the surface to preserve only the most tender part in the middle. Expensive but delicious. I had worked so hard, and even I didn't think I'd be able to eat such a steak. But Mia, at 23, was enjoying it with ease. They also had Gallardo oysters and champagne, probably totaling over $2,000 for the meal. For 2 people, that's $5,000. Half of that was my money. Mia also got a Ferrari, a soft-top convertible in white with a Bordeaux red roof, the type of car every girl dreams of. In the photos, her long legs were draped over the front of the car, looking like a perfect picture. That car. Half of it was my money too. Mia came from an ordinary family, as I knew during her interview, but on her feed, she looked like an undisputed, rich girl. Suddenly, I found myself bitterly laughing in the middle of the night. I was half a sponsor for her lifestyle. Could I turn this around? I thought I could. The next morning, I prepared Evans's clothes, his favorite set. A purple polo shirt with navy pants, paired with a casual pair of shoes. Evans always thought that this made him look young, and he even liked to stand with the collar of his polo shirt up. But in a woman's eyes, it looked undeniably greasy. I never had the heart to tell him, so I would just silently avoid putting it out for him to wear. But today, I thought, if it makes him happy, let him be. He adjusted his clothes, put on his most expensive watch, and while looking at himself in the mirror, he told me, "Mr. Lee and the others can drink a lot. I think I'll have to stay there tonight." It was already 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and Mr. Lee? What kind of business meeting was scheduled at this time of the day? But I kept my face neutral and said, don't drink too much. Take care of your health. Come back if you can. Got it. If I can, I'll help our son with his homework. He responded smoothly, his acting skills impeccable. I smiled sweetly, matching his performance. As expected, Evans got in his most expensive car and left. How far can a man be this foolish? To risk everything and flirt with a girl who's clearly using him for his money? Is it worth it? I watched him drive off, then casually browsed through the morning news, before sending my son off to his foreign language class. I then drove alone to the east side of the city, to meet an old friend I hadn't seen in years. In the world of adults, socializing is built on reciprocity. My abilities in exchange for your resources, my connections in exchange for your capital. So, even though we hadn't kept in touch for years, I knew that she would help me out this time. I stood in her company, walking through one live streaming room after another. Inside were not only slender, young girls but also handsome, well-built boys, visual influencers, as they're called. I was looking for a male influencer, and after scanning a room full of handsome faces, none of them caught my interest. A couple of them had great looks, but the desire in their eyes was too obvious. "My beautiful lady, your tastes sure have gone up. How about this? Let's grab a meal first, and you can look around at the passers-by. Come back after that and pick." You must have been too overwhelmed by all the options just now. I smiled lightly and nodded. All right. As we entered the elevator, Evans sent me a message. I pressed the close button as I heard his fake voice on the other end of the line. "Don't wait for me. I won't be back tonight." I didn't care if he didn't come back. As long as he didn't die over there, the assets would all be mine. The annoying message was barely over when a deep voice interrupted. "Wait a second." I pressed the elevator button to hold the door, and a tall figure walked in. His fashion sense was off the charts. His physique a perfect 9100s, and he had a wild, handsome aura. Yet his eyes round and innocent like a puppy, and his cute little fangs created an irresistible charm. This mix of rugged masculinity and innocence stirred curiosity in me. The man spoke politely. "Hello, boss." It turned out that he was a male influencer. As the elevator reached our floor, he pressed the door open button and stood aside, allowing us to exit first. It was clear he knew how to treat women with care. This was the kind of man I wanted. Such a high-quality man. "Why haven't you introduced him to me?" I asked her, my old friend. She suddenly lowered her voice. Him? Absolutely not. Her voice dropped, a serious tone replacing her usual cheerfulness. You were asking about shooting promotional posters for your dance academy, but you didn't pick any of the recent dance academy graduates. I think I know what you're planning. She leaned in closer to me and whispered, if that's the case, Bill is definitely not suitable. Then, with a serious look, she added, he has an STD. I was confused for a while, then couldn't help but laugh for a full minute. Turns out, I was being treated like a rich lady out shopping for a boy toy. After laughing for a minute, I realized how ridiculous the situation had become. I had been treated like a rich lady looking for a boy toy. How had it come to this? The universe seemed to be rewarding those who worked hard. Just this morning, I had been worried about everything, and suddenly, things were starting to take a turn. Bill, 27, had worked at a bar after graduating college, then switched to being a live streaming influencer. To be honest, his approach to dealing with women was learned through trial and error. I got Bill's number and set up a meeting with him 3 days later. On the third day, he showed up on time. I sized him up. His whole outfit cost less than 1,000 yuan, but he had the latest iPhone. What a clever boy. Most girls wouldn't recognize good clothes, but they could definitely tell the difference when it came to a phone with 3 cameras. I took him to a store in Yantai, bought him a few sets of clothes. Each simple shirt cost no less than 2,000 yuan, and even got him a new hairstyle. Bill didn't hesitate to accept all of it, and he seemed a bit excited. I didn't explain my intentions to him, not sure what he was expecting. Afterward, I took him to a house that I had prepared through an agent, a 200 square meter flat in a prime location, just a 5-minute walk from Guomao. The monthly rent was 28,000 yuan. From the moment we entered the complex, Bill looked completely lost. After we stepped into the apartment, the agent introduced the details, and I didn't reply immediately. Instead, I turned to Bill and asked, "Do you like it?" He stared at me in shock, taking a long time to nod. "Yeah." I turned to the agent and said, "Can we talk privately?" The agent, sensing something, stepped out and made sure to close the door behind him. I took out a stack of documents and walked over to Bill, placing them in his hands. "Do me a favor. Pretend to be a rich second-generation heir, and use the information in this file to get close to this beautiful woman. I'll cover all expenses, and once it's done, I'll give you a 200,000 reward." Bill looked confused, clearly not expecting this kind of offer from me. Then I took out a photo of Mia and held it up in front of the stunned Bill. "Take a look. You shouldn't be losing out here." When Bill's gaze shifted to the photo, a flicker of expectation passed through his eyes. "Yes, beauty is a weapon, and I'm using it to my advantage." Bill, as if afraid that I could see through his thoughts, hesitated for a long time before agreeing. I opened the door and called the agent in. "I've rented it, but only for 3 months." The agent looked troubled, but after I offered him an extra 20,000 as commission, he agreed. I turned to Bill and emphasized, "Remember, complete it within 3 months." "Got it, sis." With Bill calling me sis, our cooperation was officially established. The next day, I took Bill to rent a Gallardo, a car that fit the rich second-generation persona, but was on a different level than a Ferrari. The moment Bill got the keys, his eyes lit up. After the paperwork was completed, Bill couldn't wait to take me for a spin. We stopped on a tree-lined street. Bill took out his phone to snap a picture, but since I was nearby, he didn't dare to take a blatant selfie. "All the things you want to show off, don't post them on any social media," I said. Bill sheepishly put his phone away. "Okay, sis." Then, we drove directly to Mia's gym, which was upscale and had floor-to-ceiling glass walls. From the cafe across the street, I could clearly see the people inside working out. It was 6 o'clock, and Mia should be showing up soon. Mia loved to play, and Evans was far from her only target. This gym was one of her regular hunting grounds. Mia was running on the treadmill in a tight-fitting workout outfit. Her lips were red, her skin pale, and her vibe was pure, but her body had lethal power. The lines of her hips, accentuated by the workout pants, made every man who passed the treadmill stop and stare for a moment. After a short while, a young, good-looking guy appeared next to her on the treadmill, pretending to exercise. Within a minute, he was already planning to greet her with a "Hey, beautiful." Mia, noticing his appearance and age, and seeing his average clothes, clearly understood he was financially average, so she coldly shot him a glance. No membership, no Twitter ad. A pro. After a while, Bill walked over and began exercising on the treadmill next to hers. Mia glanced at Bill, then took a second look. She seemed quite pleased with his appearance. Bill, on the other hand, listened to music and ran without giving Mia a single look. This made Mia even more interested. Who says only men have a desire to conquer? Women can have it too. After finishing her workout, Mia went to the water dispenser and Bill followed her. I thought it would just be a casual hi, but Mia deliberately spilled a cup of ice water accidentally on Bill. A true expert. She must have watched a lot of Murdoch stories. Then, the two of them went together to the underground parking lot. Before coming here, I had instructed Bill to park the Gallardo next to Mia's Ferrari. I thought, when they both walked to the cars, Mia would be even more stirred up. In less than 2 hours, Bill had already gotten Mia's Twitter account. She was the one who asked to add him. In the first week of Bill and Mia's friendship, Evans's sneaky actions didn't slow down at all. By the second week, Mia asked Bill to go to Disneyland with her. I couldn't help but laugh. Her flirting was so refined, and she was still going to such a pure place. At Disneyland, while the crowd surrounded them, Mia's Chanel bag got scratched, and Bill, as an apology, took her straight to the counter and bought her a $40,000 Lady Dior. Mia's joy was clearly written on her face. In the evening, Bill politely dropped Mia off at her home, pretending to leave after just taking her to the entrance of the building. There was a persistent pursuer waiting for Mia downstairs. His name was Song, a procurement manager at a tech company in the same building, around 30 years old. He didn't have much money but was good at putting on airs. He had spent a fortune to win Mia over. However, after a few luxury gifts, Mia realized that Song was a poor guy who couldn't even afford a down payment for a house. She ruthlessly kicked him to the curb. Song, not being a kind man himself, had been stalking Mia for several days and finally saw her return. He went up to her, ready to confront her. He was there to demand money back for the 3 luxury bags she bought for him, along with a transfer of 30,000 yuan. He grabbed Mia's hand and threatened to call the police if she didn't return the money. Mia, standing in the busy street of a prosperous area, wasn't scared at all. Instead, she arrogantly retorted, "Do you know what a gift is? Once you give it to me, it's mine. Stop pestering me. I'll report you for harassment." Clearly enraged, Song tried to drag Mia into a secluded corner. Bill, who had been watching from a distance, rushed over, pulled Song away and asked Mia if she was alright. When Mia saw Bill, her acting skills went into overdrive. She was like a poor girl being harassed by a shameless ex. After Bill had chased Song off in a manly way, Mia, tearful, asked, "Why did you come back?" Bill, with a flirtatious smile, replied, "I wanted to watch you go upstairs." Despite Mia's rich experience, Bill's words broke her defense, and she couldn't help but feel a surge of real emotions. As Bill comforted her, he suggested she stay at his place for a few days since her home wasn't safe. Mia, naturally thrilled, followed Bill to his luxury apartment after a bit of playful resistance. At 2 a.m., Bill reported back on the progress. "She's asleep." Bill didn't disappoint me. From the moment they met until now, he had completely entangled Mia using just a month. Throughout this entire plan, he had stayed dedicated. Even though he was surrounded by temptations, he only loved Mia. He had a good face, and with the financial support I gave him, various luxury bags, jewelry, and cosmetics were like nothing to him, all used to pamper Mia. The gold digger was indeed intoxicated and completely oblivious to the fact that the bags she was receiving later were all fakes, and Bill had also saved some money by buying her things on the cheap. However, Mia, being sharp, despite being clear about her relationship with Bill, still continued to reel in money, keeping a connection with Evans, who was completely unaware. She was walking a fine line, playing both sides, ruining someone else's family while being the other woman, seamlessly switching between 2 personas without leaving any traces. A true pro. I even admired Mia for a moment. Mia's sweet voice calling Bill hubby was played out loud in the quiet tea house where Bill and I were planning the next steps. Bill didn't try to hide it from me and played the following voice messages in full. In the voice messages, Mia was complaining about how her boss was annoying, making life difficult for her, and purposely causing trouble. She even mentioned 3 times that her current job was quite frustrating. It was a very clear hint. "She wants me to support her, doesn't she?" Bill asked, helpless. Should I agree? She's quite the spender. By this point in their relationship, Bill had gotten the full picture. He knew I was the wife, the original partner, whom Mia was trying to invade the family of. So, you're feeling sorry for my money? A little. She's spending yours, and this side she's spending yours too. I chuckled at Bill's remark. He was right. I hadn't thought about it that way. I leaned back and glanced at Bill's phone, saying, since she doesn't want to work, let her not work. Support her. This weekend, Evans was going to Hangzhou for a conference. Mia would be there too. I changed my wording, relaying what Mia had said, and told Evans everything, including how Mia was still with Bill while being involved with him. Evans froze. I watched his every expression, savoring the moment. Mia had been sleeping with both Bill, who had a disease, and Evans. Could Evans avoid getting sick? Evans was always so self-righteous, never thinking about safety measures. He exploded, knocking over the table with all the food on it. Bitch! You worthless slut! I said nothing more and walked upstairs. Evans, how does it feel to have played yourself? 3 days later, I received a text from Bill, who had just returned from Guangdong. I didn't reply. He called, but I didn't pick up. I didn't know what he wanted to say, and honestly I didn't care. I took out the phone card and threw it into the trash labeled hazardous waste, without a second thought. On the day of the exhibition, Mia was walking arm in arm with Evans, looking all sweet and loving. Since they were in another city, they didn't hide their affection at all. I stood in a corner of the venue, watching them, my emotions completely unaffected. Bill stood beside me, watching me. Sis, this ... Let's go. That evening, at the hotel where they were staying, according to plan, Bill appeared downstairs holding a bouquet of roses. Baby, I'm downstairs. What room are you in? Before leaving, Mia had excused herself for a business trip over the weekend. To avoid suspicion, she even told Bill the hotel's address. She didn't expect Bill, who had always been so obedient to her, would suddenly show up. Mia, just out of the shower, panicked when she saw the Twitter messages. Wrapped in a towel, she quickly tried to cover her phone and called Bill. What are you doing here suddenly? On the phone, Bill remained calm. I realized I can't stay away from you. After just one day, I missed you. Mia's face turned pale, and her man's sweet words suddenly put a lot of pressure on her. I don't know how she explained this to Evans, but she hurriedly changed clothes and went downstairs to meet Bill. In the hotel lobby, the two of them, each with their own secrets, embraced each other in a fiery kiss. Bill, looking eager, wanted to take Mia to her room, but Mia told him that she was sharing the room with a colleague and asked Bill to book a separate one. I still have a few things to do with my colleague. It'll take 2 or 3 hours. I'll come find you later, okay? Bill, of course, didn't refuse and obediently waited in another room. It felt like something out of Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise would have nothing on Mia. Before Mia went back upstairs, it had only been 8 minutes since she entered the room with Evans. They must not have had time to do anything. So, when she went back, to calm Evans down, she would have to let off some steam first. Bill, watching Mia turn around, followed her and saw her enter room 8514. 20 minutes later, the doorbell for room 8514 rang. Bill had ordered the roses for Mia himself, and the hotel staff delivered them. Bill stood to the side, looking as though he was about to surprise his girlfriend. But inside, a man's angry shout came, "Who is it?" The staff hesitated, glanced at Bill, and didn't dare to ask or say anything. They simply said their professional line. "Hello, I'm from the service department." "I don't need service, go away." The staff didn't know what to do, so they awkwardly looked at Bill. At this point, Bill's face was already cold according to plan. He angrily pressed the doorbell again. Evans, looking annoyed, opened the door and asked Mia, "Did you call room service?" It was the first time the two men met, staring at each other in shock, with Evans completely clueless. Ignoring Mia's pale face, Bill continued his amazing performance, throwing the flowers at them and then throwing a punch at Evans. Naturally, Evans was no match for him. With just a few moves, he was on the floor, and Bill shot Mia a furious look before storming off. It was like a Titanic collision with a yacht, and of course, Mia chose to save the Titanic. She didn't care that she was running downstairs in just a bathrobe. By the time I got downstairs, I found Bill, who had intentionally stayed close, looking dejected while smoking. He looked like the embodiment of the green hat, even more so than I did. Mia's psychological fortitude was remarkable. Even when the evidence was clear, she could still fabricate stories without batting an eye. In her version, she was the innocent little white lotus, misled by her poor family background, and that's how she went astray. As for the whole, timing thing, it was just a way to repay the brother who had helped her in her career. She had no feelings for Evans. It was just Evans who shamelessly kept pursuing her. Honey, trust me, he's a big client. I didn't want to tell you, but I was afraid you'd misunderstand. I didn't expect him to do this, bring me to the hotel. If you hadn't shown up, I would Mia said, her voice trembling as if she were a fragile little rabbit, crying in Bill's arms. Bill continued the performance, as if he were convinced. Really? Then call him now and tell him you have a boyfriend and that he should leave. But he's a big client. What about my job? Mia hesitated. Bill played along. Well, if it's that serious, then forget the job. I'll support you. Upon hearing this, Mia's face lit up with joy. Though still hesitant, she had no choice but to make the call, her tone cold as she dialed Evans. I could imagine Evans, on the other side of the phone, probably furious, throwing the TV in his room to the ground. He always liked to smash TVs when he got mad. When Mia returned from Hangzhou, she quit her job. To make the arrangement more convincing, on the first day she moved in, I gave Bill $80,000 for her pocket money and promised him that if she performed well, he'd get more later. Mia was ecstatic when she saw the bank transfer notification and immediately dragged Bill out for a shopping spree. After they left, I used the spare key to enter the house, checked everything was in place, and felt at ease. Though the plan had been flawless so far, Bill was such a natural actor that sometimes even I couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. I felt a tinge of unease. It wasn't that I hadn't thought about the possibility of him turning on me after all. What good-hearted man would willingly play the kept man? As for Mia, I had to admit she was a person with real skills. With a strong opponent, I had to prepare thoroughly to ensure the plan would go off without a hitch, with no room for error. After Evans returned from Hangzhou, he was in a terrible mood and kept checking his phone, looking dejected. I knew exactly what was going on. My heart was filled with disdain. A man in his 40s, still deluding himself that he had found true love, just thinking about it made me embarrassed for him. He had gone to Hangzhou with his mistress, only to find out that not only did she have a boyfriend, but she had also gotten beaten up by him. Evans couldn't swallow that bitterness, so he went directly to confront Mia, only to find that Mia had already deleted him. Mia had completely enraged Evans. He called the police, claiming that his car had been stolen. Yes, that Ferrari was under Evans' name. At least he wasn't completely stupid. He had kept important assets in his own name. Mia had to go to the police station, and of course, Bill found an excuse to go with her. When Bill called me, Mia was at the police station, loudly mocking Evans. That car was a gift from you. I didn't steal it. Why should I return it? You gave it to me. You don't even look at yourself. I'm 20 years younger than you, and it's you who's been chasing after me. Even ... sniffle ... I couldn't hear the rest, but I knew Mia was definitely not saying anything nice. After hanging up, I suddenly felt a sense of emptiness. At this point, I should have considered myself successful. Mia had completely cut ties with Evans. Looking at the man I had shared so many years with, now utterly humiliated by a young girl, I didn't feel victorious at all. I just sighed at how tragic things could be. But the chessboard had already been set, and even I couldn't say, "Stop, now." Evans, you traitor. This wasn't even your lowest point yet. That day I stayed out late before returning home. When I got back, Evans was sitting in the living room, drinking. I glanced at him for a while before sitting across from him. Evans, we need to talk. Evans, with his blurry, drunken eyes, looked at me, seemingly confused about what we were about to discuss. I threw a stack of photos on the table. You cheated on me? Evans immediately panicked, looking at me for a moment, then instinctively began to explain. Wife, listen to me. Evans' face turned pale in an instant. He fumbled with his lips, unable to speak, and looked at me with a gaze full of guilt. Evans, we've been together for 10 years. I never imagined we would end up here. I spoke through tears, choking up several times. The last time Evans saw me cry was when I was in labor, and it obviously threw him off. He froze for a while, then suddenly dropped to his knees, clutching my legs in repentance. Wife, I was wrong. I lost my mind. I'm no good. I swear I'll never do this again. Evans was sincere, even slapping himself across the face. I said nothing, continuing to cry. I had learned this from Chun-Shi. That night, Evans begged me for hours. I knew it was sincere, but I also knew that men, once the wounds heal, will forget the pain. That night, while I was alone in the bathtub, I sent Bill a message on Twitter. It was time for the final step. When Mia's phone call came, I wasn't surprised. At that moment, Evans and I were taking our son to the aquarium to see the dolphins. Although we hadn't been intimate since I found out about Evans' affair, we never neglected our son. After the showdown with Evans, he had started to change. No matter how busy he was, he found time to spend with me and our son. He even noticed small details, like when I changed my body lotion a few days ago. He leaned close to me and whispered in my ear, "Honey, did you change your skincare? It smells good." In the past, he would never have noticed such things. But it was too late. Evans froze when he saw the phone ring, but soon, without hesitation, he hung up on Mia. He then turned to our son and started telling him about the fish swimming above us. Last week, I had sent Bill the final instruction. Leave Mia. She was just a character I had intentionally created, and once she disappeared, she left no trace. I returned the property I rented for Bill, canceled his phone number, and transferred 200,000 yuan to him to ensure he'd stay in Guangdong for a while. Mia couldn't find anyone, and once she realized all the luxury goods were counterfeit, she quickly realized she had been scammed. But she bounced back quickly. One setback, and there were always countless backup plans, as long as she remained beautiful. Evans, however, was the foolish backup she intended to reconcile with. Too bad, Evans never picked up her calls. That night, when I returned home, Mia was still sending texts, while Evans was in the shower. After he came out, Evans showed no sign of hesitation as he handed me the phone. Mia had even claimed she was pregnant with his child. I looked at Evans and said nothing, simply signaling with my eyes for his next move. Evans thought for a while, then dialed Mia's number. His voice was colder than I had ever heard. "You know whose child it really is. If you insist it's mine, I'll give you money for an abortion. But after that we're done." With that, he hung up and blocked Mia's number. A few days later, while Evans was playing with our son in the living room, his phone received a message. It was from Mia. "If you don't meet me today, I'll expose all your dirty secrets. We'll both die together." Seconds later, another message came. "Meet me at Swan Lake at 9 p.m. tomorrow. If you don't, I'll jump." I recognized the number, but I knew it was Mia. Evans and I went together to confirm the truth. Mia was waiting at a dimly lit spot, and I stayed in the car watching her. Her emotions were high, and I could even hear her shouting, "Wait and see. No one will have a good time." When she saw Evans' gaze, she ran to the passenger window, cursing at me with every foul word imaginable. A mistress cursing out the wife? I didn't know where she got the guts. Maybe it was because she was stupid. But I didn't care. Mia looked pathetic, her eyes were swollen, her hair messy, and her face was red with frustration, regret, and anger. That sight brought me some comfort. I was glad I remained calm when I discovered the affair. Otherwise, I might have been in the same position as Chun-Shi. After Evans and I left, he continued apologizing, but his words were like empty air, repeating over and over and making me sick. "It's okay, don't think about it," I said nonchalantly, and he finally quieted down. Seeing that Evans remained indifferent, Mia thought of coming to irritate me. She sent me a voice message on Twitter as soon as she could. "Now that I've lost everything, are you satisfied?" I laughed and responded, "When you were a mistress, destroying someone's family, did you ever consider this outcome?" Mia didn't apologize. Instead, she mocked me. "So what if I thought about it? I got what I wanted. I'm telling you this to let you know that I still have evidence of your husband's affair with me. If you don't want to mess with the company we built together, then give me 5 million. I'll leave immediately and never bother you again." I almost burst out laughing, especially since Mia, despite trying to sound calm, couldn't mask the tremor in her voice. "Little girl, who are you trying to threaten? My colleagues, our clients, or our parents? Little girl, don't you use your brain? Is Evans the only one who cheated? What harm do you think your little secrets can cause? We're not a listed company. Do you think we're afraid of this? I can smooth things over with a simple, let's cherish what we have. It's that simple. Also, little girl, I've already investigated you thoroughly. Do you think exposing the video of Evan's cheating will cause more damage to him? Or will it be the video of you sleeping with him and Bill? Think about it. I didn't mention that Bill was part of my plan, I just told her that I had already looked into her. Who would reveal so much information just to provoke a lunatic? Mia was definitely scared. I could even hear her gasp for air. She stammered, you, but couldn't say anything else. I felt a surge of satisfaction. After months of planning, my counterattack was flawless. Mia wasn't even a worthy opponent. Her sobs only got louder, but I didn't feel sorry for her. She was crying because she had lost, not because she regretted her actions. I'm not a saint. In fact, I'm just a normal person who pays back what's owed. Let me say one last thing. Bill went to see a urologist. He has a sexually transmitted disease. With that, I ended the conversation and blocked her. Later that night, when I came home, Evans had prepared a meal for me. I sat down staring at him, making him uncomfortable. Honey, what's wrong? He asked. Mia called me earlier. She yelled at me for a long time. What? It doesn't matter. What matters is she told me she has a sexually transmitted disease.